Hello everyone, welcome to Gary Mac Studio. Today, I made a stretcher. I made a stretch canvas for this painting I'm about to do of Port Vicente, I guess that's how you pronounce it, in a lighthouse over in Los Angeles, California. And my daughter had visited over there. She was in a book signing or something over there. I forgot what it was. Anyway, she took this picture of this lighthouse, and sent me a picture of it. So I thought I would just paint it, and we'll see how this thing turns out. And you saw in the beginning how I made the stretcher bars for it. And this painting, this picture, lighthouse up on this cliff, it reminded me of a place I stayed over in Africa in 2010. I was over there for a year, working a job at this little country called Equatorial Guinea. And I stayed at the capital of Equatorial Guinea, which was on this small island right off the shore of Nigeria, which was called Bioko. And it had some of these high cliffs and stuff around it, and it was just a tropical jungle because it's right on the equator. And it's a very interesting place. It was just a beautiful, beautiful little island. It was only 40 miles wide and no 40 miles north to south, and I forgot how wide it was. Wasn't very wide, like 15 miles or something like that. I don't remember. But anyway, this island. The place that I stayed was in a compound. I was over there on planning and scheduling a turnaround for a refinery over there. And when I first got there, you didn't go into town by yourself. Some of these guys did, but I wouldn't because it was kind of risky. And it wasn't the people that you had to watch out for. It was the government you had to watch out for. The people, they embraced you. They would cater to you because they knew that these people that worked in that plant they made money. And this is a poor country. This is a very poor little nation. And so about the first 2 weeks I was there, some of the guys were going into town. It was called Malabo, and the name of that little island was called Bioko. And Malabo was the capital of Equatorial Guinea, and the main part of the country was over on the mainland, and this little island was just the capital of Malabo, and I think there was like 150,000 people there in that city. And it was just a beautiful, beautiful place. We stayed on the north end of the island, and on the south end of the island, well, on the north end where we were staying, they would only get, it would rain just a little bit, nearly every day. Right around 2 o'clock, it'd come a little shower, and then it'd be gone. And on the south end of that island there were two mountains on the south end of that island, and they were really tall mountains. And on that end of the island, they got 36 feet of rain a year on that end of the island. In fact, it's one of the wettest places on the planet. And I forgot, it's 480 inches a year, something like that. I forgot. It's been a while since I was there. Anyway, and then it never did get hot there. Being on the equator like that, in fact, I almost turned the job down because when they invited me to go there down there on the equator, I said, no, I don't think I want to go down there in the hot like that, tropical jungle. He said, no. He said, no, they told me it hardly ever gets over 90 degrees. I think the average temperature there was like 80 degrees or something like that year round. And I said, yeah, right, you guys are just telling me that to get me there to schedule this turnaround. They go, no, look it up. So I did, and sure enough, it showed the average temperature was around 80 degrees, best I remember. Anyway, I was there for a year, and I think the hottest it got was like 94 degrees or something like that. And what kept the temperature down is those currents that come up from the South Pole would those currents that come up from the ocean there was cold. That water was cold, even at the equator. And I say cold. It was when you dove off into it. It almost take your breath. But you could stay in it for a little while, and you'd get used to it. But anyway, I was there for a couple of weeks, and some of the guys were going to go into Malabo and mess around a little bit. It was on the weekend, because the compound that I stayed in was very nice. It was like a resort. It had a golf course, and had 2 different swimming pools and tennis courts and restaurants, and everything was provided. I didn't have to pay for anything. They paid for everything, all my lodging and food and everything. And they put me in a real nice house. I don't know. It's about a 2,100 square foot house, brand new, and had the maid service and everything. They would come and do my laundry and stuff while I was when I was going to work. And so anyway, we went into this town, and we were walking around, and they had a grocery store there. In the plant, you could get whatever you wanted at the grocery store. That grocery store had the plant. All I had to do was give them my ID number, and the plant would pay for anything that I bought there at that grocery store. So we went to the grocery store, and we were walking around town a little bit, looking it over, and we went by this meat market. And outside this meat market, there was this big, well, it wasn't a real big steel cage. It was about 5 foot wide and about 5 foot deep, probably, and about 5 foot tall. Just a steel cage. And there was this monkey in there. He was a good-sized monkey. Looked kind of like a baboon, except he had these all these red features and stuff around his face. And you walk up there, and he was drinking some water out of just a plastic bottle, a bottle of water. He was drinking some water out of it, and he'd stick his finger through through that mesh in the metal there, and and you could touch him, and he was just a friendly little guy. He was beautiful. So we went into that meat market and laid out across the counter, the meat counter. It's similar to those that we have here, with just a meat counter, and all this meat was laying out on it. And there was probably a dozen monkeys with skin, and they were split open, and they were laying there with their arms were spread out, and they were looking at you. I mean, their head was still on, and they were looking at you and kind of smiling with those teeth and stuff. Holy cow. And that monkey meat, prime monkey meat there, was $200 a pound. And you wouldn't think that those people could afford it, but some of the nationals the plant had to hire like 30%, I forgot, 30% or 50%. The nationals had to work there, and then the rest of us were all imported in from different countries, South Africa and Europe, and there was a lot of Filipinos worked in there. And so they made enough money that they could afford it, I guess. And anyway, when I saw those monkeys laying there staring at me, it looked just like they looked just like little kids laying there, skinned and gutted, and good Lord, I had to turn around and walk out. And when I walked out the door, I said, "Buddy, you better enjoy that bottle of water, because I think you're fixing to be somebody's supper." And that island, the only thing they export out of that island, other than gasoline and natural gas, they had an LP unit there, a liquid petroleum unit, and the only thing that they would export was bananas. And we drove around the island one weekend, and some of the guys that had been there for a while, a long time, well, they took me on this tour around the island, and it was just so beautiful. The jungle, it was a dense, dark, deep jungle. I mean, you've heard of dark jungles. Well, this is dark jungle, because even during the bright daylight, and you get off in that jungle, it is dark down in there. There's so much foliage and plant life that just, there's no shade at all, hardly hits the ground. I mean, no light hits the ground at all. And we'd be driving down the road, and there'd be a guy come walking out of the jungle there, and he'd have two big old stalks of bananas on his shoulders. And so bananas were about the only thing that they exported, that besides the gas, the petroleum products. And so it was just so interesting. We went to this place, it's called White Beach, and all the beaches around the island were black sand beaches. And there at the compound, it had its own beach, and that beach was a black sand, and it was just beautiful. And at the end of this, I might post a few pictures if I can find them of that island. And Malabo. And here's a picture of the beach there at the compound. And I painted this picture from it, and it black sand beaches. It was just beautiful, all over that place. And right here on this beach, these Filipinos, they'd take their nets and string them out all along that beach over there, their gill nets, and they would catch sardines. And golly, they'd take those sardines and boil them up and cook them up, and man, those things were good. They were really good. And being fresh like that, and just thrown in a pot, cook it, and ate them. And then I fished all along that shoreline there, and back over there in there where those bigger trees were, those were rubber plants, and they'd hang out over the water there, and you could sit underneath those things and surf fish right there. And then, boy, it was nice. It was just a beautiful place. And I watched the whale. And one day I was fishing out there, and it had its own dock over there, and I was fishing off of this dock. And it had a boat ramp and all kinds of stuff. And some of the guys there had their own boats. And I went out one day with one of them in his boat, and we trolled around and caught some fish. But I was sitting out there on that dock it was late one evening, and I heard this sound. It went, it sounded just like a PSV valve that went off up in the plant. And those PSV valves are pressure sensitive valves, and when they go off, there'd be several hundred pounds of pressure, and some of them even thousands of pounds of pressure. And when they go off, boy, it sounds like a gunshot going off. And I heard this noise, and I looked up, and they were a pod of whales was coming right at me, right up that beach right there where that you're looking at in that painting. And there was about 5 or 6 of them. I really couldn't tell how many, because they'd come up and go down at different times. And but they'd come up, and when they breathe like that, it'd go real loud. And they come up within 75, maybe 100 yards right in front of me. And as usual, I didn't have my cell phone with me. I had left it up in my room, and they just swam by, and it was just such a beautiful place. It was just a gorgeous, gorgeous place. And as I said, and when we took that trip down on to the south end of that island, where those mountains were back down in there, those rivers had come off of that mountain. There's so much water up there. I mean, it was just a steady flow of rivers all over those mountains. And right at the bottom of the mountain, there would be these little villages where the Nationals would hang out. And there was very little electricity in that area. There was a few places that had some electricity, but most of it didn't. And when we drove by there would be people out in those rivers. They would be washing their kids and in their clothes, and they'd lay their clothes out up on the grass to dry. And these women would have like a 5-gallon bucket of water, and they'd put it on their head and was toting it back to their village. And I tell you what, a 5-gallon bucket of water is pretty darn heavy, and they could just take off walking and not even hold on to it. They could balance it on their head. That was amazing. And we saw some amazing things. And when my job was over, and I was by the time it was over, I was ready to come home. But I would not give anything for the experience, because everybody in the United States should go over there and live in those rural African places for a year and just see the culture and see how people live. And it was just amazing. There's no other way to describe it. So back to this painting. The wife and I took a long vacation. This was in 2014, and we traveled all up and down the West Coast and visited some of these places. And we didn't visit this particular place, but my daughter has, and took this photograph of it. But I painted a lot of pictures all up and down that coast. And in fact, on that last giveaway, I painted one from the West Coast of that little town of Astoria. And then I've got another giveaway coming up here that she wants a picture painted of Ruby Beach, where we had visited, and I took a lot of photographs around there. And I'll send her some photographs and let her pick which one that she would want me to paint for them. And on these giveaways, what I've done, and I've given away hundreds of paintings just to friends and whoever. Somebody would like it, and I just give it to them with no charge. So I love just giving of myself to people. It's just a blessing to be able to bless someone. And I painted quite a few pictures up around Olympic National Park, and I did some over in those in northern California, those coastal redwoods, just beautiful, huge, beautiful trees, and all in that area. It was just gorgeous. We just drove around everywhere and taking pictures for painting. I don't know how many hundreds or thousands of pictures I took, but I got a bunch of them. And I painted a bunch of them, and I love giving them away. I really do. If I sell one once in a while, and that's good and that's fine. But that's really not my intent. My intent is to paint, and I love painting, and I'm an awful entrepreneur because it take to spend all that time trying to sell the painting. It takes away from what I really like to do, and that's what you see me doing right here. This is what I love. This is me. Now, if I could hire somebody that would take these paintings and go out and push them and sell them, and I'd give them a good commission, because I'm running out of room to stack these things, and I sell one once in a while, and I've got some people that's been collecting my art for many years, 30 years or longer, 40 years, and one of them recently died, and he had purchased probably 6 or 8 of my paintings over the years, and he had passed away, and actually 2 of them had passed away just recently. So anyway, I love painting. To sell them, that's if I sell one, that's fine. If I don't, that's fine too, because I like looking at them myself. In fact, that big elk painting that some of you've seen that's been on the YouTube, I like to use it for a backdrop when I'm just sitting and talking and explaining something about artwork, and I just love looking at my own work, and it's really funny when I go back and watch these tutorials, these painting illustrations, and I watch them. I don't whenever I'm painting them, I don't take into account exactly what I am doing, but when I see it on these videos, I see it in a different light because when I'm painting it, it just comes natural. This is I've got no formal training in the art. Everything you see is I've learned on my own, but when I watch these videos and these tutorials, and actually see how it is planned out. See, I don't think of that when I'm painting. I just pick up a brush and start smearing some paint, and I've done it enough to know the steps in the processes, starting with the underpainting that you saw here. When I first started this, I just had some basic shapes spread out on the canvas, and then I started putting in the detail, and that's what you see here. I'm just putting in some of these details along this cliff side, and it's just a fun thing. And anyone out there who's new to painting, if you got some questions, just send me a note, and I reply to every single one of them. And if I didn't reply to it, it's because I just missed it somewhere. But and on those giveaways, this is how I judge who I'm going to give a painting to, is by their responses to me, because a lot of them will watch me every day and send me messages or ask me questions, and I've even had some want me to critique their work, and so that's how I judge of who I'm going to give the next painting to, is if they're how interested they are in mine, and I'll go by their responses, their replies to me there, and some of them will reply to me. And this first painting that I gave away, this lady, she'd been replying to me for, well, ever since I started the YouTube channel about 4 months ago, and just about every day she would send me a message and comment on my work, and so that here just a few weeks ago, 3 or 4 weeks ago, I decided, well, I'm just gonna give her a painting. I'm just gonna send her one, and then I thought, well, why don't I just do that to anybody who wants to send me some notes, and I'll send you a painting. And I've already got another one that I've picked out, and I'll probably start it next week, the week after next, and I'll start it and I'll put it on the YouTube and show how I painted it. And I think she's picked out one of Ruby Beach over on the West Coast, and Ruby Beach was just a beautiful, beautiful place. And I can't remember if it was in Washington or Oregon, but it's one of the others. I'd have to look it up. I can't remember. Like I say, that's been 10 years ago since we took that vacation, and I've forgotten a lot of places. But what you see here, what I'm doing is I'm adding in these cliffs, and sometimes the cliffs like this are they're kind of hard for me to get right, and the more and I'll keep messing with it and keep messing with it until I get it to look like I want it to look like, and as close to the original image as I can, as I could possibly get it. And the way the sun lit on the edges of these cliffs was interesting. The lights and the darks and the shadows and the green tints and all the different colors it was on the sides of these cliffs. And I don't know what happened here to my lighting. I didn't notice anything when I didn't notice any changes while I was painting, unless I had left a light on that didn't belong, or somehow I had changed the setting on because these videos were just done with my cell phone, or I had accidentally made a setting change on my cell phone. I don't know, but anyway, it's a little bit darker than the other. But you can still see it, and at the end of this, I'll have a photograph of where I'm at on it. I have a little bit more to paint on the White House. There's a little bit on the lighthouse. There's a little bit of detail on there. There's some windows and some grading and stuff on around the top of that lighthouse, and I'm going to put that in. And I'm going to paint my two birds in. Every landscape or seascape that I paint is I'll put two birds in there, in every one of them. And those two birds, one of them is my wife, and one of them is myself. And we've been together for 59 years, and we just go everywhere together. I wouldn't go anywhere without her, except fishing. I love to go fishing, and she don't like to go fishing. So sometimes I'll take off and go to my brother that lives in Houston, and then with my other brother that lives up here in Louisville, not real far from me, about 45 minutes from me. And we'll take off and go down and visit our brother who lives in Houston, and we'll go fishing down around that Galveston area, in Crystal Beach, all down in there. And in fact, I've got a painting that I've been working on of Crystal Beach that I'm going to get up on YouTube here pretty soon. And it's of some shrimp boats. So you guys just hang in here and watch, and right at the end of this, I'll do a little photograph that show you where I'm at on this thing. And total time on it right now, I've got about I've got about 3 hours in it, maybe 2.5 or 3 hours. And then I've got a little bit more to do right here where I'm putting in this grass and bushes and shrubs and stuff that was right up here in this forefront. And the photograph had a kind of a bigger bush there, but I'm not going to put it in because it covered up too much of the cliffs, and I want those cliffs to really shine. And then down on the beach, that little beach area down there was all gravel, and I'll be putting in gravel and some more, maybe a little more surf. I don't know. It won't be a whole lot, if any. There was some rocks and stuff out in the water there that I'm going to paint in. But you'll see it at the end of this. So I'm just going to be quiet and go through this, and I'm running out of words to say, believe it or not. And that don't happen very often. So hey, you guys subscribe, hit the likes button if you would, and send me a comment. Get your name on that list, and whoever sends me the most is the one that's going to get the next painting. And so one of these days I'm going to get my guitar out. I hadn't played my guitar in a year. I hadn't picked it up in a year, but I want to pick it. I want to get it, do a little practicing, and I'm going to start putting my own music in here if I can. I don't have really any way to record it like it should be. And I wish I had a good way to record it. I wish I had a looping machine where I could loop my record my guitar and then play along with it, and add in some lead parts and a little more, and maybe a little bass and maybe a little drums. I want to check into first. I want to get my guitar down, see if I can even play it anymore. I've got arthritis so bad in my hand. In fact, you can see up there as I paint how my old knuckles are swollen and stuff. My old hands are stiff, and I don't even know if I can play anymore or not. But hey, I'm going to get my guitar down and play. I used to when I was young, I played professionally and made money. That's how I made my money, was playing the guitar and traveling with a band all around. And it was fun when I was young, but by the time I was 19 years old, I got burned out, and I'd done it for about 7 years. I started when I was 13 years old, and I quit playing when I was 19, for 6 years. Anyway, and man, I don't know, for about almost 30 years, I never even picked up a guitar. And then I started playing music in a gospel group, and picked it up and started playing again. And then I played a lot up until about a year ago, and I hadn't picked it up in a year. So I'm going to get my guitar down and tune it up and put some new strings on it, and I just see how I come along with it, because I would love to have my own music on this. I get tired of talking, and I'm sure some of you get tired of hearing, listening. And but yeah, and even back when I made my own guitars, my own bass guitar. I made it to. We did some studio recording, and I made a fretless guitar so that when you record, you wouldn't get that fret noise in the recording. And my daughter's got that guitar. I gave it to her for an heirloom. But I'm going to give it a shot here one of these days. And then my brother, Ken, I've been on him to do some recording for me because he's really good. He's really good on the guitar. He's kind of got that James Taylor style picking on his guitar. And I'm more of a blues and jazz kind of guy, a smooth jazz, slow jazz, and but there's my plan, and we'll see. I may not can even play, but I'll pull that thing down here next week and give it a shot and see what happens. Because I'd love to put my own music to some of these videos like this. So I'm going to work on this lighthouse here just a little bit and get those windows in, and it had some metal grate run across out the exterior of that upper tower up there, and little handrails and stuff around it, and then there were some handrails that I got a little bit out of line there, so I had to remove some paint. And then add a little more light to the left of that thing. You know, I can't understand why my lighting, when I move away from it, it brightens up, but when I get close, it gets dark. And I don't know what I'm doing wrong, because my lights are not behind me. They're over to the side of me over there, where I can't shadow it. And I'm having a hard time with that. I don't know. I don't know where that's coming from, and why it's doing that like that. Because see, when I back away, then it brightens up, but when I get close, then it darkens up. So I've got to figure that out. I'm figuring out all this stuff as I go. Hey guys, y'all please subscribe and hit the likes button, and if you like what I'm doing, hit the notification button, and it'll let you know when I'm coming back on here and doing this stuff. And I'm going to start another one as soon as I get this one on the YouTube, and then I'll probably come back and do a little more on this one. But for the most part, I'm finished with this one. I'll do a little bit more up on this grass on this side on the left, but that's about it. Anyway, love you guys. Hey, you guys tune in and let's watch another one. And I'll tell some more stories. I got stories and stories. I'm a storyteller. Love y'all. Bye-bye.